Hi guys, what's up? Tudagamon here. In this video I'm going to benchmark Mafia 3 on a single GTX 1070 paired with my old Core i7-860. As always, this video is recorded on an external recorder at 60 frames per second, so what you will see in this video will be pure performance. The CPU is overclocked to 4 GHz at 4 GHz. There it is. 12 GB of memory, and the graphics card is a single GTX 1070 made by KFA2. It is the EX model running on the latest firmware, and it is also overclocked in order to boost at 2 GHz. Now for this benchmark I'm going to use fraps to gather frame rate data. We will see the basic result in this file and some analysis with flat and a comparison with my 2500K at the end of the video. So let me launch the game and let's see what kind of performance we can expect. I'm going to continue the game right away. And I will show you the settings, of course, once it loads. Okay, options. 1080p resolution, of course, unlimited frame rate, high quality global preset, no vertical sync, and the rest of the settings are whatever the high preset dictates. So we can now go to the game and start the benchmark.
You sure this is how you want to play this?
Last thing they're gonna expect is an attack from the water. You head back round to the row. Stay with the car. I'll meet you over there when this is done.
Hope you know what you're doing.
Trust me, Ellis. Here in a bit, this will all be behind us.
How many men we're sending? 2 teams. One's gonna hit the bar, the other's going after Bert. Boss says if we have to burn down half
Papa
the
Legba,
hollow,
open the
get
gate for me.
we're doing it. Stopping till that old man's dead.
Him, Ellis, and the other one.
Lincoln Clay.
He's the one. This time he won't get away from us. Should have killed that old man a long time ago.
Huh?
I heard something I don't like. Who's that? Ah! Over here! That's also...
Wait your people, cocksucker!
Watch it! Reload it! Cover me! Don't think about it! Shoot him!
Wait your people, cocksucker!
Shit! I'm taking cover! Thank Christ he's gone. We ain't stopping till we find you, bruh!
Gotta reload, damn it!
Die like this.
Dishonor your opponent. Fuck you! You have no right, pussy.
Should've killed me when you had a chance, asshole!
First I kill you, then I kill that useless old mom.
Sammy's boys in there! Get him!
That motherfucker killed Bata! Burn him! Soon as he shows his face, kill him! Burn that motherfucker! Hot damn! Reloading! Cover me! Catch him now! Get him up! Fireball that fucker! Bastard's going to burn! Molotov! Run! Shotgun down!
Wait your people!
That weapon's mine! Don't think about it! You can't hit me from here! Firebomb that fucker! The bullets! Gonna reload! He's shooting the shit out of me! Firebomb that fucker! See him? I'm throwing a Molotov!
Wait! Right, motherfucker!
Can't take much more! Get me out of here! He's coming this way. Oh shit! Motherfuckers over here!
Get him!
Shoot him from the side! You won't let him move! Got it! Don't think about it! Shoot him! Rock your ass now! Shit! Let's
Handle
watch
that
it,
motherfucker.
man. I know where to go. He's a better shot than I thought. I hurt him.
There!
Don't think about it. Shoot him.
Target practice.
On your knees.
Stop it! Fire! Keep him from me!
Fucking time.
So I know I'm still alive!
You fucking with Robinson boys now.
Leave us dead, soldier boy!
Hey, you limb from limb.
Hell you got? Come on!
Always gotta get you out of trouble, don't I?
You hold?
I am. How'd it go with Baca?
We came to an understanding. He stayed dead, and I'd let him. Let's get back to Sammy's.
Can't even tell you how happy Pops is gonna be. And this shit with the Haitians has been weighing on him.
With them out the way, things will calm down. Go back to the way they should be.
Been telling him for months we needed to do something like this, but Pops, I don't know. Sometimes I think he's lost the taste for this shit.
Just because a man don't rush to violence don't mean he lost something.
I know, just makes me wonder what happens after, you know?
No, I don't know. Explain it to me.
Don't matter if it's a bullet or the hand of God. We all go sometime, right?
I suppose. But Ellis, we don't need to talk.
I pray that Pops outlives the both of us. But if he doesn't, every motherfucker... Fuck it, it's your car. Bash it up all you want. Anyway, but if he doesn't, every motherfucker in the hollow's gonna be looking to us or gunning for us. Just saying we gotta be ready when that day comes.
Yeah, well, that's not something we got to worry about right now. So just cool it with your grand plans, all right?
Yeah, all right.
The benchmark ends here. The performance was not bad for sure. 76 frames per second. I was getting 81 frames per second for the Core i5-2500K. However, there were some delays, some spikes, if you will. The frame rate itself was quite decent. However, we did have some weird delays at some points, reaching up to half a second. That is really a lot. I'm not sure what the problem is here. The GPU usage itself is okay. It is not maxed out all the time, but it is very decent, of course, in order to keep the game playable. The CPU usage, on the other hand, is what is impressive in this benchmark. As you can see, all cores, including the hyper-threaded ones, they do have a lot of activity, so Mafia 3 indeed is a very well threaded game. That's why we have seen this game running very well on the new Ryzen CPUs. it takes advantage of the CPU cores, and we can see here the overall CPU usage is way above 50%, so we have very real activity on the hyper-threaded cores. CPU temps are okay, only a little on the high side due to the higher load of course of the CPU. The GPU temps are okay. RAM usage maxes out at 6 GB for the whole system. The core clock is at 1997 for the most part. Okay, no problem. Video RAM usage at 2.5 maxed out at 2.1 GB for the most part, however. Decent showing from the Core i7-860 and the GTX 1070. So let's see the analysis now. Hi. I'm going to open first my local benchmark, the one I just did. I want this file. Okay. Let's make this a blue one. And I'm also going to open the GTX 1070 plus i5-2500K on my network drive. Yes, I want the Mafia, of course. Benchmark should be this one. 81, yes, 81 frames per second. The frame rate result itself may not be very different, but due to the very high stuttering of the 860 run, quite possibly affected by the spikes in the frame times we saw in MS Afterburner, as well as the variability which is also higher compared to the 2500K, went up with a much lower comparable at 54 frames per second compared to 67. However, due to this being affected by complex processes in the complex calculations in this program, our main interest is the average frame rate and of course the rest of the graphs, etc. So let's see what happened here. I'm going to zoom in a little so we can appreciate the frame times a little better. I'm going to zoom in up to the 60 milliseconds threshold. Come on, man. Okay, so we can see that we have 6 or 7 huge delays in the frame times, but that went up to half millisecond. The rest of the frame times are not exactly problematic, but we do have some spikes throughout the run. We'll have to also bring up my 2500K benchmark to see the frame times, especially during the outdoor section riding the car. The frame times were a little more spiky than inside the fights. The 2500K exhibited about the same performance in the frame times, so I guess we are okay. Of course, all this stuttering happens at below 16 or about 16 milliseconds, so overall the performance is not very bad. However, you can see that it was worse than the 860 in the car driving session. These spikes are way bigger. However, we missed all the huge spikes of 500 milliseconds that were apparent in the 860 run. So actually, for some weird reason both systems have their plus and minuses. Frame times beyond 16.7 milliseconds are very few, however, 2.3% only, so we can have a smooth gaming experience at 60 frames per second with this system, aside from these huge spikes that occurred. The histogram, of course, will be affected by all this. We have registered frame times that were quite delayed. However, most of these are at 15 milliseconds and below, so the performance is overall okay, but you just cannot turn a blind eye in these spikes. Look at how ugly they are. This is the comparison of the two runs. Very similar a run time. The 860 run did get a little longer, but although we can see the overall frame times are overlapping each other, so the performance is very similar for the two runs. We do have these huge spikes for the 860 that really damaged the very good performance that we were getting otherwise. Frame rate is about the same, a little higher for the 2500K, but nothing too serious. However, we can see these drops in the frame rate, which are the spikes registered in the other graph. All these are frame rate fraps data, of course, so they correlate. Min, max and average, we can see the huge dip that the 860 system took. Of course, this is a very long benchmark and various things can happen to affect the minimum frame rate value. That's why I do not pay attention to it usually, but the graphs did show us that we have these huge spikes that you cannot turn a blind eye. And of course there is this other issue. The stuttering registered for the 860 throughout the run was a lot higher. Of course, this value can be affected by the huge spikes, the 6 or 7 spikes we saw. It is what it is, however. The percentiles curve is one very interesting graph. As always, the performance is quite close, as you can see, for both runs. Quite good performance with a very similar 99th percentile. However, the 2500K was quite better. That's why we need all the available graphs in order to make up our mind. Time spent beyond seems to be off. It seems to be off. I do not agree with this graph. And lastly, the comparable frame rate overlaid with the variability and the stuttering, which is a lot more for the 860, and this gives us a frame rate result below 60 frames per second, which is not good. However, while I was playing the game, the only time that I felt something was wrong is exactly these times that the huge frame time spikes occurred. Other than that, the game ran very smoothly. I'm still baffled as why these spikes happened. Maybe I will look into it in the future. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Take care.